This is the Veeam backup for Microsoft 365 self-service portal. In here, we use our everyday Microsoft 365 login, and we'll go ahead and start the login process here. Once you hit the login button, this will do an authentication with your Microsoft account. The Microsoft account will then communicate with the enterprise application that your administrators configured with the Veeam backup for Microsoft 365 software. And then you'll be authenticated on whether or not you are just a self-service user or whether or not you are a restore operator. If you've been granted restore operator roles, you'll not just have access to the data that you possess within the backup, but elevated privileges based off of scopes assigned to you from your administrators. In this case, I do have a restore operator role assigned to this user, as we can see clearly from the restore operator in the upper right hand side here within the portal. And we can change the scope here in the left hand side by clicking on U. And this will load everything that's been fed back from the Veeam backup from Microsoft 365 server when it's been passed, like, hey, what does this user have access to? Now we can see we have various users, Microsoft Teams, which is new with Veeam backup from Microsoft 365 version 7, and SharePoint, of course. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these teams here and what it looks like to go through a restore process. Once you've selected your scope for restore, you'll then have the option to restore either the latest point in time, which is indicated with the parentheses of latest, or whether or not you want to go back to earlier points in time if you need to get something from those. If the restore or backup process is done multiple times per day, you can go back to each of those individual backup points during that day. Once the point is loaded, you can scroll through just like you're inside of a file explorer, and you'll be able to see everything as if you're inside of the backup server and all of the files, posts, and tabs that you'd have access to from the Veeam Restore Explorers. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the tabs we have here. And in this case, we even have a dummies account notebook for our specific group that we have here. We have our deliverables channel, which we can then restore either the files from here as a group entity. And it's important to note that we can choose different restore options and different restore types. If you need to restore a group of items and you're not quite sure if all of these items are missing from the directory, you can choose to just restore missing or changed items to mitigate some of those restore processes. And in scenarios where you get options to choose to restore to different locations, you are only restoring within those same user accounts. So we'll go ahead and restore this Teams item, and we can see we get moved over automatically to this restore session, and it starts that running process. Before that's even finished, say we have multiple tasks, we can come back over here to a particular user and start the restore process for this particular user. And in this case, we're going to take a look at what I like to call the shopping list. Now, this shopping list will allow us to add multiple items to this list. So we'll go ahead and add this notebook to the restore list, and we'll come over here to the team and add this OSI JPEG to the restore list. And we can go ahead and select and restore all of these items that happen to live in different locations all at the same time. And we can dynamically configure whether or not we're restoring to overwrite or to keep those files, the reasons that we're restoring those files, and making sure that we're doing this in the right process. And again, we automatically get kicked back to this restore session windows to make sure that we're keeping track of all of the tasks that we're doing here and the notifications up here in the upper right hand side so that you're notified as processes go along. And we have a warning here letting us know that this already exists in that location, so there was no need to restore those particular files because we didn't want it to overwrite those files in that location. And that's our new restore portal and re-enhanced restore portal that we have here.